me
Mike's
and
here.
Troublesome.
Mike's here.
Okay, so I don't think we're missing anybody, actually. That's well done, everyone. Okay, so we'll move into the adoption of the agenda. We'll need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I would like to make a change. I'd like to remove item 7B, the selection of an auditor, because we got some late submissions today, and I am not prepared to talk about those yet.
Okay, any additional changes to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll need a motion to approve the agenda.
Approved.
Is there a second?
Second, Stephanie.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. We'll move into announcements on the COVID-19. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, good evening, everybody. At this time, I'm gonna let Norm take this over. It's been an active couple of weeks and he will fill you guys in.
Good evening, everybody. Tonight is a overall briefing, not only on statistics, but also the objectives from Unified Command, Sudden Valley objectives that we're currently working on, and also how that is playing into our external messaging, both to our employees as well as the residency. So I'll start off with the situation report. Whatcom County, as of 6:38 p.m. tonight, has confirmed 243 cases of COVID-19. The morbidity or the fatality rate now is 21, based on reports from the health department. Washington State has 9,639 confirmed cases, 456 deaths confirmed by public health as of the same time frame. The objectives for Unified Command for this operational period, which will start over, they'll start again on Monday, are to prevent and mitigate the spread of the virus, establish isolation facilities to meet countywide demand, currently focusing on the Motel 6 project in Bellingham, provide for the most vulnerable members of the community, ensure adequacy of first responder personnel resources, provide resources and supplies to healthcare facilities as required, maintain essential services with a sub-focus on established surge capability, monitor and mitigate economic impacts on the community, and that as monitoring and assess impacts on local governments, ensuring compliance with state and FEMA guidance, keep the public, stakeholders, and media informed of response activities, and manage and coordinate interagency response efforts, and reflects the makeup of Unified Command. Sudden Valley objectives that we're currently working on is provide an update to Unified Command of Sudden Valley operational status and planning for surge operations as may be dictated by Unified Command. Conduct essential business and maintenance operation in alignment with the governor's guidelines on social distancing and essential operations of stay home, stay safe policy. Share important messages with the membership on key proclamations and messaging out from the governor's office, Unified Command, and information on local and Sudden Valley resources. Monitor the economic impact on Sudden Valley and provide updated information to Unified Command for submission to the FEMA grant process as directed by Unified Command. Maintain contact with partner agencies on the operational readiness of Sudden Valley, and plan for business reentry when directed by the Washington State Governor's Office and/or Unified Command, which is returning to normal operations in a phased-in approach. So our current status and how we're applying and being in compliance with stay home, stay safe, and are as follows: to minimize, we've instituted measures to minimize the potentials of gatherings and also establish essential business applications. Those were discussed in the last briefings, what those have been defined as. Essential staff, that's unchanged. An example of that would be much of the admin staff is working from home. Turf maintenance and maintenance have gone to essential staffing for essential projects. And if there's specifics on if there were furloughs and or other assigned work, those should be best directed to administrative services. Social distancing and minimizing gathering strategies in Sudden Valley have remained unchanged. We've instituted signage, some playground equipment taped off, for example, the campground, et cetera. Just as information that's came up today's briefing with Unified Command, state parks are closed, as we all know. However, Birch Bay State Park, and in particular the beach area yesterday, due to the improving weather, looked like in July a summer vacation. Therefore, Unified Command and concert with local law enforcement and the State Park Service will be instituting surge operations to bring social distancing and gatherings back in alignment with the government's policy. This continues to be a concern of both the State Emergency Operations Center as well as our own Unified Command and here. We're also conducting daily briefings with Unified Command by partaking in several conference calls with them. I'm still on a daily phone call with them at 9 a.m. Plus, we've started to be on bi-weekly phone calls with small cities, governments, fire chiefs, police chiefs, and senior administrators for those municipalities. Those are occurring on Tuesdays and Fridays. Our planning assumptions going forward for Sudden Valley is that the May 4th sunset date for stay home, stay safe may be extended. And with that, we have to look at what that extension will do to impact not only the people, but also the business operations here in Sudden Valley. The reason this may get extended is the Department of Health at the state level, as well as our own Unified Command, are currently factoring in what they call hotspots, where some areas, as generally reported down in King, Snohomish County, and Pierce, may be flatlining as far as the amount of cases reported. Others are continuing to increase, such as Whatcom County. Some of that is a function of more testing. Some of that is just the natural progression of the virus as it spreads. And some of that may be linked to social distancing not being practiced as stridently as it should be. Because of all of these, our planning assumptions are that May 4th is a date that the governor has said that he has an option to extend. And a lot of the emergency planners are in fact working that will be extended. When? That is completely a decision of the governor's office. And typically he's been releasing such information on Fridays, 48 hours or so prior to when he wants the order to go in effect. So external messages to our membership, as I stated, and to Unified Command, we send them a daily operational status report of where Sudden Valley is at, our planning assumptions, and what the current work of the day is concerning business impacts, et cetera, to them. And our PIO, which is Lisa, at a minimum is sending out an e-blast weekly with updated information, including this last one, community resources for things like domestic violence, food, those kind of things, other than just here, but what's being readily available in the county. We're also working with our amateur radio partners to have standardized messaging for 1610 AM so that we're all saying the same thing. And again, we're updating our agency partners when situations change on our readiness, which has occurred because of sickness that turned out to be of a non-virus nature, but it did drop us below what our readiness status. For any official unified command updates, again, the liaison officer, as well as the person in front of the Joint Information Center, is encouraging all Whatcom County residents to go to whatcomcovid.com. They are continually posting updated information there, such as their daily situation report that I see, as well as other information from the state, public health, businesses, and there's recently 2 PSAs added. One of them was the mayor of Linden talking about the policy and how this applies. So lots of stuff is occurring on a daily basis and will continue to occur. One of the things that graphically, I know because a lot of folks do like word pictures, this is kind of what this is looking like, and I'll try to get as close as I can with it. The blue are cases that are showing reported cases, a trend line for where it's plateauing as of the latest numbers. That is not an end to the virus, but just the current data. And then the morbidity rate, which is the red line. And this shows the day-to-day cases that are being reported. The numbers will change and do often change frequently. And that is just a matter of how the virus or any of these type of things actually roll out. So with that, if there are any questions at this time, go ahead and either Joe or myself or Lisa will answer them as best we can. And if we don't have an answer, we can certainly get you one from Unified Command.
Norm, was the data you just showed, the graphs, was that just Whatcom County or was that Washington?
That is strictly Whatcom County. You'll find that on their website I just gave you as well. And then if you hit update status, it's a red radio button, and that will come up and you can see their entire situation report.
Okay, on the Unified Command website?
Yeah, whatcomcovid.com.
Okay.
And with that's a link to the Department of Health, both here and at the state level, and they're both updating their statistics as well.
Awesome. So we're still seeing significant increases in the county. Like we're not hitting that inflection point yet. I don't mean the top of the curve, but just where the rate of increase is decreasing. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet, no.
Mm-hmm.
There have been some questions about the campground being blocked off with logs. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that. The weekend before I locked all that down was, that is the disc golf and everything is closed. However, people chose to not adhere to that and go out there and party and still play disc golf, use trees as their baskets and everything. And the social gathering was not what the governor had issued. So I made a decision to chain it off, and it's not closed, but there will be no parking there. And it hopes to deter some of the social gathering issues that are up there.
And this is a similar type situation that occurred at Birch Bay yesterday. State parks closed. It really didn't play a factor into the beach area looking like a summer vacation. So this is why they're having to address that.
Thanks for doing that, Joe. Thanks for taking care of that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. It's just, I hate closing things down, but it's too hard of an area to patrol. And the last thing I want to do is run this any longer. It's going to be bad enough as it is. So if we can take any steps to hopefully make a turn to this, we're going to take them.
Well, I support you because the rules are the rules and it's, you know, for a noble cause. It's not like we're asking people to miss out on a good time. The virus would not be good. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I think a couple of things, Joe, that people were concerned about, and maybe the maintenance has been out there, is the logs aren't very visible from the road and you come right around that corner, and they were concerned. Some people were concerned about that.
There's a lot of reflectors out there. There's cones and reflectors all the way up and down that whole line.
Okay, thank you. I haven't been there to look.
Yeah, they have reflectors out there.
It's
Thank you.
very visible now. You'll know it's closed.
I was gonna say, I haven't been out in a week.
Yeah.
Some people have said they want to go ahead and cut the chains and roll the logs. I just hope that people don't decide to do that. So,
Wait,
They'll
Linda,
just do that for something to do.
well, that won't be a good scenario for them.
Linda, we actually had the parking area looked at by Deputy Thompson from the sheriff's office from a traffic perspective, and he found it to be well marked and not an issue with county right away.
That's fine, as long as I'm just saying what people had said when the logs first went up. Norm, you gave some numbers initially at the very beginning of your report. Was that just for Whatcom County?
That contained two data sets. One was the county numbers, 242 and 21, and the other was the state overall numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Norm, Joe, you're clearly doing a fantastic job with this pandemic and how you're responding to it. And I really appreciate that. What do you need from us? What do you need from the board to make it easier for you to do what you're doing?
Just our support when we make decisions. Sometimes they're not going to be popular. What we have to do to hopefully end this as quickly as we can. That would be the thing that I would want the most from the board is, believe me, I don't like shutting things down, but sometimes we have to do things that are not popular. And I get that and I understand that and I feel everybody's pain, but just the support of the board would be probably the most important to me.
From my perspective, it's not only the support of that, but if there's a need to look at external messaging, let's say as this goes longer, it's obviously going to be an impact on people's livelihood because there's no work on things. So if there's resources or messaging that you feel that need to occur, Lisa's our PIO. There's 3 of us that are working this daily. I asked that everybody filter that through her. She's got the current information and she takes care of that for us because it's critical that messaging has to be accurate. So that's one of the things that if you have a question or you feel that something needs to be put out in a public format, please run it through our PIO. That's what she does.
Thank you both. And please don't hesitate to let us know, if we need to act accordingly. So
We will.
thanks.
I apologize
Any-
for interrupting here. Just a moment of housekeeping. I believe Mike is in our attendees. I'm going to try to move him over to the group here. I believe this is Mike. Mike, if you could say something just to make sure I've got you over here.
I'm right here.
Well, that's strange. He came in on Lisa's. Okay. Well, we'll just roll with that. We'll see how that works. It's a little different, but thank you.
Okay.
Like Mike's at his battle station.
it does.
I have
Uh,
one more question.
ahead.
Well, a question. Norm, when you talk about the hotspots, are they just kind of giving us information on counties, or have they needle pointed down to like certain cities at all, like around Bellingham or Mount Vernon, or where are some of these spots that some of these numbers are coming from?
Well, currently, right now, the numbers are being evaluated to get to what you had described for being able to actually look at locations, cities, and possibly neighborhoods. That's what the folks in the geospatial things are trying to accomplish. But currently, the statistics are coming from public health, and what those entail, looking at people hospitalized and under treatment, and how that's being captured and put out in a graphical format for planning. Unfortunately, it does not include some statistics that may come from assisted living facilities or home isolation. They're still working on how to capture that for better planning, but the best they can do right now is give you a county number count based on what's reported and validated by public health.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Norm and Joe, for everything you're doing. Any final comments or questions for Norm or Joe? Okay, keep up the great work. I know we all appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move into our property owner comments and board response.
We do have a few people here. Nancy has raised her hand, and for the person who's called in, if you do want to raise your hand on your phone, it's *9. I'll go ahead and bring Nancy in.
Hi, guys. I have a question about the SEPA DNS permit request that Sudden Valley made March 20th. The file name is SCP 2020-00010. And the project description is, excuse me, replace 7 aging storm drain culverts and perform ditch maintenance. A couple of questions on this. Is this part of the culvert vegetation control 2020 project?
No, Nancy, that is not part of the 2020 storm, or not part of the veg control. That is the stormwater work.
And when do you intend to do the work?
That is the normal, that is the stormwater work that has been approved by capital. Whether or not we end up doing it this year based off of funds, we still went ahead and got the permits started. They were started last fall with the engineers and the specs. So if we end up doing it, we'll do it. If not, we just have the permits. So that is normal. That was under the roads budget.
How much?
I don't have that right off the top of my head. I could get that for you, Nancy.
Okay, is this something you will bid out, I hope?
Oh God, yes, yes, it all will be bid out. All that kind of work is bid out.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nancy.
Great question, Nancy. Any other property owner comments?
Yeah, anybody else down at the bottom of the controls there, there's an option to raise hand, or if you're calling in, it's *9. It looks like that's it for now.
Okay, well, let's just pause for a minute and just say thank you for setting all of this up for us. This is really great. Good work, everyone involved to make this happen for us. I appreciate it.
Happy to help.
I have a question for Joe real quick. If we get permits for work and because of the current circumstances being what they are, and we're unable to use the permits this year, either we don't do the work because of money constraints, or we don't do the work because, well, that probably would be the main one. How long are the permits good for?
I'll have to check with that. Generally, something like that, and AJ can jump in real quick. I'm going to say I think the permits are good for at least a year. I mean, I've seen some of them go a little bit longer than that, but again, I will check with the county on that. I'm not really sure how long they'll issue them for, but I think it's over a year. Is that correct, AJ?
I don't know off the top of my head on that. I will say if we are planning on bidding out any larger jobs, most of the jurisdictions have some COVID specifications for contracts that they're using that may benefit Sudden Valley as well to consider.
Yeah, and are we going to do these projects? I really don't know. It's going to be, again, the watershed, we only got 4 months to work in, and they may not happen this year. But if we can get them done, we're going to try to get them done. But we're just going to be prepared in case we can. And I will check with the county and see if how long those are good for.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. I think they're usually good for longer than a year, and I would certainly suspect that we are going to get some concessions due to all of this.
Yeah, I would say the permitting in the county would be a little bit more lax due to the pandemic that we're going through right now. I would hope they would be. I don't see why they wouldn't be, but I will let everybody know on how long they're good for.
Okay, any other comments?
I have a comment that's unrelated to permitting or any of that, but there's been a lot of chatter about people leaving their garbage around in our neighborhood here. And, you know, I guess people miss the trash cans. I don't think that's an excuse to leave your garbage everywhere. But I don't know if there's a way you can have security, you know, go by the mailboxes, at least in 13, 9, 3 a little bit more often, and make sure people aren't leaving their White Claws and all that kind of junk everywhere, because it's looking pretty ratty from what I've seen on social media.
Yeah, there was some medical waste there as well, I believe, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'll see what I'm gonna. I'll try to get some more I'll at least try to get trash cans at the mailboxes. So.
I mean, I don't. It's people's responsibility. Maintenance doesn't need to be doing that, but you know, just my opinion. But at least if we can have someone put their eyes on the areas, you know.
Okay.
On that, I know I've gone out and walked the golf course a couple of times, and it's really disheartening, I guess, to see people leaving their tissues, you know, sitting along that somebody then has to come and pick up that could be infected. And I don't know, can we put out maybe an e-blast reminding people we do have limited services right now? We need people, I mean, call people out. I mean, it's embarrassing that people believe that they can leave their trash, especially things like tissues laying around, and where it can really cause issues right now. So maybe an e-blast just reminding people to be responsible, a strongly worded one, even maybe to call attention to it.
Okay.
I'd agree with that too. We were doing
Yes.
some yard work the other day, or today actually, and went out to the culvert. We're on a steep hill, so to speak, and there's a bunch of garbage in there that, you know, we just picked up. But yeah, I agree with Josh and Paula.
It's
Sorry,
a
did I
health
cut somebody
concern.
off there?
Oh, no, that's
Steffi?
okay.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a health concern that our maintenance workers don't really sign up for. You know, that's not really fair to have them have to go around and clean that up right now. And honestly, not having garbage cans out is just another way to protect them. So people need to pick up their trash.
It would be nice if they would.
Amen.
This is something that's happening everywhere, though. There was a picture that was on social media. I think of a Fred Meyer parking lot where people had come out and dropped their gloves and just all sorts of stuff. So it's happening all over.
Yeah, a lot of donation places that aren't open for business are being swamped with people leaving their donations and chairs and couches in the back alleys of these places, and they don't have anyone working because it's not really an essential deal, you know, so they're just getting bombarded. It's really kind of sad.
Okay, well, are we ready to move into our continuing business? Yep, okay.
Let's do it.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to make an announcement that I didn't make because there was just an announcement for the COVID. We do still have one board opening that's open until the 20th of this month. And then I'm going to hopefully discuss with you all something that I put in the board packet, because to date, as far as I know, we have received no applications. So The membership's been informed of the board vacancy, and additional reminders have been put on Facebook and on the Sudden Valley website. I haven't been down to my mailbox, but my views are in there, and I sent something for Brent to put in the views. And it said, the bylaws require that the board immediately request nominations and elections to submit not less than one more nominee than the number of vacancies to be filled. So I'm looking for at least 2 vacancies. But a lot of people are staying home. I've had a couple of inquiries online, but nothing submitted. Should enough applicants apply, because we still have time, we as a group here need to plan for a meeting with remote interviews and voting to occur. That could be challenging, but I know John could help, I'm sure, with that. I'm assuming the board would be privately voting by ballot in some form. I'm just not sure how to do that. The date of the initial interviews and the appointment is 4/23, which is a regularly scheduled board meeting. But like I say, we should plan for that somehow. I don't know if you're all comfortable with just raising your hand or somehow indicating online how you want to vote if we do get people, candidates to vote for. I'd kind of like a little bit of input back from you all on that. We have a few ideas that we've been just quietly exchanging emails online within NNE. And I'd hope to talk with John if it's something that you guys want to take advantage of privately voting. But provided there is no one on the 23rd, I'd like to make a motion that if I move that should not enough candidates apply by the close of the current date of April 20th, the board approves to extend the original application response date for board applications to Monday, May 11th.
I second that.
I really think I'd rather look at it now than wait until the 24th, have no one, and that's when we first discuss it. Because if nobody applies by the 20th and the 21st, I'll start putting stuff out on Facebook, get Lisa to update the Sudden Valley website, put something out on an e-blast. I think everybody's got everything else on their mind, but it's something that we have to deal with. The date, we would do that on the 11th, then the next regular board meeting is May 28th. But that's where interviews could occur. You could decide, although I don't know how that's going to be, but you could decide to have a special meeting to elect someone, but it doesn't appear, unless somebody's going to stuff the night pass-through box. I don't see a whole lot of people putting their applications in. But, I think the board, and we've made every effort that we can possibly make to get applications. I'm reluctant because it's not allowed in the bylaws to take emails, because I think somebody was kind of looking for an exception. And I don't want to run into what happened at the AGM where I miss one, or if it's sent to me, if it gets in my junk mail and I don't happen to notice it, and that's why I'd like to stick with it still being submitted in person. People can still put it in the mail, but I would hope that you would consider that reasonable as a motion, and you'd vote to approve to extend it then to the 11th if we have no applications.
Paula?
Linda, the motion as you originally stated it did not include to vote on the 28th. Did you want that included as part of the motion, or just to extend to the 10th?
Just to extend to Monday, May 11th, because you may decide you want to have a special meeting to appoint. I'm just throwing out there possibilities that I know are regular meeting dates.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had the motion right for you.
And Mike, is that the motion that you moved forward?
Yes. And call the question.
Is there a second?
I have a question.
We have a
Is there a
second.
second first?
We have Mike seconded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who made the motion?
Linda did.
Linda.
Linda made the motion, Mike seconded it. Okay,
Yep.
further discussion?
Yeah, I was just wondering if because we have declared an emergency, we can override the letter of the laws in the bylaws and actually decide to do the interviews and voting on the 28th of May. Opinions?
When would you want to override it? You know, we're going to have at least 2 applicants.
Okay, so if the applications have to be in within 60 days, and then the next board meeting after that is the 28th?
Yes. it would-
Okay, so we're within our own, rules.
So what would happen if we didn't even have any applications or enough, or just only had one application at the end of the 60 days? Do the bylaws provide, what do you do then?
That's a good question. You know,
Kind of
it's-
like, you
the
have to
board
have
will make a
two.
good faith effort to fulfill that vacancy within 60 days. And we would we'd have to go forward and keep it open, I guess.
Okay, yeah. That's what I would assume we would do.
Is there no board meeting on the 14th?
No, there'd be a board
Maybe
meeting.
there is. That's awfully soon after the 11th.
Well, I'm just, I
That's
get
true.
that. I'm just saying,
This is a recognized problem, and there have been proposals in the past for a bylaw change to address it, but they have never gone through. So this, I think, is something we need to put on our list of, things that we need to look at this year. I mean, having no candidates.
Yeah, what do you do? You know, if there's a time, it would be nice if we could put something in there that if you've had it open for so long and you've received no applicants, then you wait until the AGM. You know, that's a possibility.
So to the question, oh, sorry, go ahead, Steffi.
Wouldn't we just wait until we had 2 applicants? Because we would be taking away the right if somebody stepped up and was willing to do that. If we had 2 applicants for the one position that showed up, I don't know, 2 months later. I mean, wouldn't we just keep it open until we had 2?
If you
well,
don't.
there's no
have a
exception not
close
to.
date- If you don't have a close date, I think you run into problems with someone could say, well, hey, if I'd have known it was, you know what I'm saying? I think you have to have definite close dates.
I get what you're saying.
Close it.
Yeah.
Don't you have to extend it then? There's nothing that I've read, and having the trouble with the ACC as well, that makes an exception if you don't have them.
No, there really isn't anything. And that's why Leslie was saying it's maybe time to take a look at the bylaws.
So I think this is an important discussion, but it's not exactly about the motion on the table right now. So I wonder if we should go ahead and call the question.
Yeah, I agree. We'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Linda, for all your work. Okay, we'll move into our property owner comments.
Again, anyone who's calling in, go ahead and press *9 on your phone if you'd like to raise your hand to speak. Anybody else, that should be at the bottom of their app. And I don't believe I'm seeing any raised hands at this time.
Okay. Well, I
Hey,
hope that,
Andrew,
yep, go ahead, Josh.
can we talk about that voting real quick? If John can get back on here. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Let me hear that radio voice of yours. So if we have to vote this way, and I know there will be plenty of discussion about this moving forward, but in order to keep privacy, would there be a way to use like an online survey that can be randomly changed by you? I mean, there's so many survey sites that give live results. So I'm wondering if we all had a link that had, if we had 2 candidates or however many candidates, it has their names, and then we could anonymously vote for those candidates. And then only, a certain group would see the results, and then he can have the access to that. It won't say who voted for what. And then that link could just be shared on Zoom or something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a way to make that work.
I think Survey Monkey does that. You could do
Okay.
that through Survey Monkey, I think.
I think it'd be great, Josh, if you're willing to work with Linda and her team to make that happen, because I know exactly what you're talking about, and I think that would be a really good way to do it.
Yeah, I was looking at it briefly. And I mean, there's so many options out there. I'm just trying to find something that will give us like instant results where we don't have to wait for an email to come through or anything like that, that we could just share the link through here, and those that are voting can do that. And then we don't have to worry about, any kind of privacy issues or who's voting for who or any of that kind of stuff. So that might be a good way to handle that portion. But yeah, I'll definitely work with Linda and her team on it. And John, of course, because he might have like a way better idea anyway.
Well, whatever we find, I'll be the one probably implementing it in the end. So that'll probably good for me to be involved, I suppose.
Thank you.
Yeah, great idea, Josh. Thanks for speaking up.
Thanks.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
By acclamation. I don't have my gavel, so, bang, bang.
Just
At
make a
7:43.
tapping noise on the table.
Have a great night,
7:43.
everyone.
7:43.
Good weekend. Everybody stay safe. If you need anything, please reach out to us. We'll do what we can for you.
All right.
Thank you,
thanks.
Joe. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, everyone. Stay healthy.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.